Hello, I'm Carmen Falcone with AARP New Jersey, and I want to welcome you to our monthly AARP New Jersey Fraud Friday Facebook Live. We are continuing to have important discussions on fraud and scams happening right here in our state. Today, we're discussing fraud and scams that typically spike right after a disaster hits. We're joined by Bridget Holmes, who is the Director of Operations of Compass 82, which is an organization that helps disaster survivors save time and money during recovery process. We want this to be an interactive discussion, so if you have a question for our guests, please type it in the comments section and we'll do our best to get to it live. We're looking forward to a great conversation. Welcome, Bridget. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Carmen.
It's your first Facebook Live with us, so welcome. So,
Thank you. My first Facebook Live ever.
oh, well, that's exciting. So, can you share a little more about Compass 82 and what you do?
Yeah, thanks. I'd love to. So, Compass 82 actually started out right after Hurricane Sandy hit the Jersey Shore. And at that time, we were the Ocean County Long Term Recovery Group, essentially a group of nonprofit and other stakeholders in Ocean County, which was the hardest hit county by Hurricane Sandy back in 2012, came together to figure out how we were going to help our neighbors rebuild their homes and their lives. We were all brand new to it at the time.
Yeah.
And so we served Ocean County for several years, and then eventually expanded out to serve the entire state of New Jersey with our disaster recovery services like disaster case management, and providing funding for unmet needs, connecting people to nonprofit builders. And when Sandy operations started to slow down, we realized we had gained all of this experience and knowledge, and we didn't want other communities to have to start fresh the way we did back in November of 2012. And so we kind of went national and reached out to other communities who found themselves struggling with disasters, mostly hurricanes. And we didn't want them to have to learn our hard lessons. If we could kind of give them an advance on that learning curve. And so we've worked in over 30 different communities on different disasters ever since then, in Florida after Hurricane Irma, after Hurricane Michael. We often serve in the hardest hit areas, in the Florida Keys and in Bay County, Florida, Panama City, where all the devastation was after Michael. We've helped communities to get organized after wildfires. So our goal is really to bring our experience and meet it with the locals' knowledge of what they need. And the reason we're called Compass 82 is after we went national, we didn't feel it was appropriate to be the Ocean County Long-Term Recovery Group anymore. So we are Compass because we try to help you navigate your way home, and 82 to stay true to our New Jersey roots. 82 is the exit that Tom's River office is off of on the Garden State Parkway, and also that's where you would have found the roller coaster in the ocean, that iconic image that
Yes.
everyone still can associate with Hurricane Sandy and disaster. And so that kind of shares with people where we came from.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, well, I'm sure that those that you come to help are very appreciative of your presence, because that was a sad moment for New Jersey, and it was an eye opener for all to understand that we need to be better prepared for situations that can happen like this. So I thank you and your colleagues and your organization for what you do.
Thanks, Carmen.
So we know that scammers like to take advantage of people, especially during those situations when they are most vulnerable. So, which is typically when their heightened sense of fear and anxiety is like, oh my goodness, what am I to do? It seems like right after a disaster would be a prime time for a scammer to strike, unfortunately. And so, what can you tell us about fraud related to disasters and disasters recovery?
Well, you've really hit the nail on the head. People find themselves in probably the most vulnerable position of their lives, especially if they've been displaced from their home due to the damage that the disaster has caused. So your whole life is in upheaval. We've kind of coined the phrase disaster fog, that people find themselves in this mental state where they're just not operating at the level that they're used to, and finding themselves being forgetful. It's more difficult to make decisions. And there are those out there who would take advantage of that. Additionally, to make the pot even sweeter for scam artists, is the fact that all of this money is being infused to the community. There's money from FEMA coming in to individuals' bank accounts. There's money from insurance coming in. There's nonprofit dollars. In the larger disasters, there are often state and federal grants beyond that which FEMA can offer. And so there's an attraction to take advantage of people who are vulnerable and have money. For a lot of people, it's the most lump sum check they've ever received in their entire lives. And they are at times desperate, or at the very least, extremely eager to put the pieces of their home and their lives back together. And so, unfortunately, there are people out there who would like to take advantage of that.
It's very sad. It's true, but it's very sad. And when you're like overwhelmed, okay, I need help now, and you're going to believe anything they may share with you, because you're not focused. You're overwhelmed. It's like you said, you're in a fog, and you're just thinking, I need to get my home ready for my family. So it's concerning, and it's unfortunate what things that happen. I want to remind you, pardon?
No, I was just saying, under normal circumstances, most of us, if we needed to do a home repair or an upgrade, we would sit down, we'd think about how much money we have to do it, we'd kind of put together a budget. But when your world's been turned upside down after, a disaster, and the amount of repairs that need to be made, it's harder to think about it in such a linear, organized fashion.
Yeah.
And so it's easier, as you said, to want to believe someone who comes in and says they can make it all go away.
Yeah, sir. You're at their mercy, and basically they take advantage. It's what happens. I want to remind our viewers that if you have any questions for our guests, please type them in the comments section, and we'll try our best to get it live. Now, Bridget, how has contractor fraud impacted New Jersey residents specifically?
So unfortunately, we kind of have seen the same patterns that lots of other states and communities see after disaster. There really boils down to about essentially three different categories of fraud or scamming. The first is that which is intentional. People who even come in from out of state, who go from state to state, from disaster to disaster, walking into a community where they know there's an influx of money and confused and vulnerable people, and saying, I can repair your home, just give me $10,000 to start off with, having no intent on ever doing the work, or maybe doing just enough to get the next payment. And they take as many deposits as they can from as many people, and then they skip town. And that was always their plan. There are those folks where it's true criminal fraud. And then there's a lot of more local people who are probably contractors in good standing in their communities, and aren't intent on stealing people's money, but get in way over their head with the capacity that they have to fulfill these contracts. Where maybe they used to get a couple of jobs a week. Now all of a sudden they're getting 25 calls a day. Right. And they're not used to turning work down, right? They're used to taking all the work they could get. And so they're still in that mind frame, and they're over promising, and they don't have the ability to deliver. So they're taking people's deposits and then not getting the work done. Now for the homeowner, the result is the same. Their money's gone and their home is not repaired. But that's one of the reasons we want to, when we're engaging with contractors, is to be really careful about the timing of the payments and the way that the contracts are written, because even people with good intentions, even people with a good track record, can end up leaving
Mm-hmm.
someone without the funds they need, and without the repairs they need to be made.
Yeah. So, so you shared some uh, of this information, but just to clarify, if there's any more, like what are the signs that a contract that you may be speaking with may actually be a scammer? Like, what are the kind of like things that highlights like, this doesn't sound right?
So the biggest thing I think is the amount of money they request for a deposit. In
Okay.
Sandy, we saw a handful of contractors requesting 100% of the payment up front. That's absolutely unheard of. And
Mm-hmm.
most people would think that that was excessive. But even asking for 50% up front is a real red flag. Um, they need enough up front to buy the first materials, pay for the first permits, maybe get their subcontractors online. But that's really about 30% is about as much as you would expect to pay in that first deposit. So anybody asking for that or more, you really want to look more critically at them.
Should you ask questions about what's their license number? Do they have workman compensation? Can you show examples of where you worked? Do you have any references that we can actually reach out to?
That's all excellent advice, Carmen. Not every type of repair requires a licensed contractor. So if you're talking about repairs to plumbing or electric or HVAC, you need a licensed contractor. So that's really important. You don't want a handyman coming in who can do your drywall and your paint and trying to also do your electric. You need somebody who's licensed with the state. And the state of New Jersey has a very thorough website and easily accessible. So you can go in and you can search people by name to find out if their license is up to date.
Or Better Business Bureau? Is there a place to
So
check as well?
So we typically refer people to the New Jersey Department of Consumer Affairs.
Okay.
And I think you have their website that you can share right there. Thank you. Um, it's a very comprehensive site. They have lots of tidbits for people hiring contractors, and also has a search engine for searching contractors and their licenses. And that's the best place to go for that information, that more general information, but also the specifics on whomever it is you're looking to hire.
Okay.
For those folks, for those contractors who don't need a license,
Mm-hmm.
they should still be registered with the state to perform this work. So that's the other thing people can be looking at, making sure that if you're hiring a roofer, that that their business is still registered in the state of New Jersey.
Okay. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if someone actually has been impacted by a contractor scam? What should they do?
The first thing they want to do is to report it to their county's Department of Consumer Affairs. Each individual county has their own Department of Consumer Affairs. And it might end up that they'll have to file a police report as well if the Consumer Affairs Department at the county level determines that there's criminal fraud going on. Now, for lots of cases, especially those situations that I talked about where it's an otherwise reputable contractor who just kind of got in over his or her head after a disaster with the amount of work to be done. Usually, if Consumer Affairs can get involved and intervene a little bit, it could right the ship on that level. But for those folks who are truly intent on just stealing money, then Consumer Affairs can has a series of actions at their disposal, including the possibility of bringing in law enforcement.
Okay, that's good to know. Bridget, this is good. So thank you so much. Now, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers today?
So I think this is a really poignant topic because of the level of damage we, as in New Jersey, faced from Hurricane Ida at the beginning of September. And so I just want to make anyone aware who is struggling with your recovery and repairs from Hurricane Ida that Compass 82 is offering our services, helping people navigate FEMA and the SBA, insurance. We're helping people work with contractors. Around this time, people are getting information from FEMA about whether or not they're going to get money. We're helping people appeal to FEMA for more money if that's appropriate. And so you can see here our Hurricane Ida helpline. We can get you connected to one of our expert disaster navigators who can talk through all of these systems and processes and kind of help you figure out the best next steps for your recovery.
Wow. A lot to do, right? You're like, you have to get your mental state calm down as best you can, and get things going to communicate and get the help you need. Again, Bridget, thank you so much for this information discussion today. We're thrilled that you were able to join us to share tips, best practices, and resources so we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from fraud and scams. Now, for our viewers, if you are concerned that you have been scammed, you can reach a trained volunteer at our AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline, which is 877-908-3360. Again, that's 877-908-3360. If you like more information and resources on fraud and scams from AARP New Jersey, please visit aarp.org/NJ-FIGHTS-FRAUD. Again, that's aarp.org/NJ-FIGHTS-FRAUD. We hope you've learned something new today, because I definitely have. And we can relate as New Jersey residents of things that were happening here in New Jersey about how you can stay safe from fraud and scams. Thank you again and have a great day.